This video was produced by the UCD Math Support Centre in conjunction with the UCD Access Centre. There is a few things we need to know about binomial experiments and Bernouilli trials. A binomial experiment consists of n identical Bernouilli trials. A Bernouilli trial is a random experiment which has exactly two possible outcomes, success and failure. For example, if we flip a coin, it has two outcomes, heads or tails. Heads could be deemed the successful outcome and tails could be deemed the failure outcome. The probability of success, denoted as P, and the probability of failure, denoted as Q, is the same for each trial. So if we flip a coin 3 times, the probability of a head is not changing for each trial. The probability of success and the probability of failure must equal 1. If all of these conditions are fulfilled, we can calculate the probability of X number of successes using the below formula. Remember, N is the number of trials, X is the number of successes, P is the probability of success, and Q is the probability of failure. Let's apply this formula to a question. It is claimed that 30% of drivers in Ireland pass their driving test first time. 10 drivers are randomly selected. Find the probability that no driver passed their driving test the first time. The first thing we want to do for a binomial question is write down what n, x, p and q are all equal to. In this case, n, the number of trials, is going to be 10 as we have 10 drivers. So n equals 10. X is equal to the number of successes. In this case, no driver passed their test the first time, so x equals 0. P is equal to the probability of success. From the question, 30% of drivers passed their test the first time. So 30% is written at 0.3 in probability terms. We know that P plus Q equals 1. So this means that Q has to equal 1 minus P, or in this case 1 minus 0.3. So the probability of failure, Q, is equal to 0.7. It is quite common to be only given the probability of success or the probability of failure. Now we'll fill into the formula. So the probability, the number of successes, x, is equal to 0, is equal to n, which is 10, choose 0. Please see the video on combinations if you are unsure of this notation. If we go back to the formula, next we need is p to the power of x. So our p is equal to 0.3 and our x is 0. Q is equal to 0.7 and n minus x. So it's 10 minus 0. 10 choose 0 is 1, and we multiply this by 0.3 raised to the power of 0. Anything raised to the power of 0 is 1, and then it's multiplied by 0.7 raised to the power of 10, and this is 0.028. So our answer is 0.028. I'll tidy up the slide before continuing. If at least one driver passed their driving test the first time, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the way up to 10 drivers could have passed the driving test the first time. We could find the probability of x equal to 1, x equal to 2, x equal to 3, all the way up to x equal to 10, and add all these probabilities together to find the probability that at least one driver passed their driving test the first time. A quicker way to calculate this is to say that the probability of at least one driver is the same as 1, the sum of all probabilities possible, minus the probability that no driver, x equal to 0, passed their driving test the first time. This way we would get 1 minus 0.028, which is equal to 0.972. For ordinary level leaving certificate students, and most the problem will involve is 3 Bernouilli trials. For higher level leaving certificate students, there has not been a limit put on the number of Bernouilli trials. Higher level leaving certificate students should see binomial distribution and Bernouilli trials part 2. This concludes our discussion.